It is now officially over for the Tesla Foundation Series Cybertruck. I agree with James that it's been a success for Tesla given these high prices and how many units they sold. So now anyone from the public can order the $80,000 dual motor Cybertruck or the $100,000 Cyber Beast tri-motor. And of course, if you do have a reservation, you will get priority over everyone else who does not have a reservation. So now the real fun begins with scaling and producing a lot more of these. This is important news for our Tesla stock investors. Tesla is actually giving people the 30-day trials again for FSD. My take is that this version, Tesla believes, is certainly better than the previous one significantly. Otherwise, why would they be giving out these free trials again to everyone? And just to be very clear, the people that are receiving the free trials, they already received a free trial earlier this year in the spring. And we Canadians are also included in this push. Overall, this is definitely great news for us Tesla stock investors. Tesla also dropped a Tesla bot update video, and there are some important details here. It can self-navigate and actually find the spot to charge itself, so it's fully autonomous in a sense. And as you can see here, it's actually doing this whole task autonomously because Tesla is telling us so. It's not, oh, except this one, okay, this is not autonomous, but it can now climb stairs. It's good enough for doing that. And here it's also operating autonomously, so it can talk to other people using its AI now, and it can serve you stuff. This is really good. Tesla confirms this is autonomous, not teleoperated. This is a huge deal. The Optimus bot can now explore unseen spaces autonomously, just like an FSD car. And just like robotaxis later will be able to navigate to the closest supercharger and charge itself, the robots can now also locate the nearest charging station and plug themselves in. Optimus can now pick up significant payloads such as a 25-pound battery tray and carry that walking without falling. It's a big deal. And I'm just a bit mind blown that you can actually talk to the robot, basically point to an item like this, and the bot just gives it to you. This is incredible, and this is not teleoperated. Wow. 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 I am actually starting to get bullish on the bot in a meaningful way. This is no longer some dream that's up there in the distant future. No. You point to an item and it gives it to you. You mean if I'm unloading a big, huge truck and I point to an item, pick this heavy furniture up, it's gonna do that later and put it exactly where I point at? Do you know how many jobs that's going to disrupt or make easier or automate? We are seeing just a beta version of this, of course, but after today, it's inevitable that these things are going to start to happen later on. Even James, a skeptic about things like this one, he admits that this looks like progress to him. It will take a long time for Wall Street to realize what just happened and how big of a deal this whole thing is, but this is game-changing. And Jim Cramer is now saying, do you really want to bet against Elon Musk? Seems like he learned from his mistakes and he says, I don't want to bet against him anymore. Even the CEO of Nvidia just admitted that what Elon and his team achieved is superhuman. Literally, they are making bots that can do what humans can do, and soon they will be able to do what only superhumans could do. Many Tesla investors are really excited about this screenshot from the video. Together, multiple bots build a shared understanding of their surroundings, with some saying this was the most important part of Tesla's new Optimus video. I would disagree with that. I would say the robots not being teleoperated and them having a model that's trained with AI, which allows a bot to interact with other people successfully over and over and over again. I would say that was the most important part because that was the uncertain part up until today. This, we sort of already knew that Tesla can do this with FSD, and it's just a matter of time before Tesla deploys this effectively. But of course, it's really, really important. Imagine if you could see everything that every single person in the same building can see. Not just in the same building, and the whole area. You just knew about everything all at once. Now, the lights around Optimus' head turn red when it needs to charge, and when it finally navigates to the charging port, it uses its rear cameras to align itself. It then slightly bends its knees and backs into the charger to plug itself in. Tesla also said that these new skills, like using its AI to hand items to people, are all learned by a single neural net running in real time on Optimus embedded computer. Look at this and tell me how this bot is not eventually going to be extremely useful. I mean, not in the super distant future, decades from now. I'm talking about in the next 5-ish years. Look at everything it's doing now. How can this turn into something that just doesn't work at all for Tesla? I just don't see it. This reminds me of seeing the Tesla Roadster for the first time and the vehicle being electric, but very expensive. At that time, I thought, okay, well, this is going to change the future because they just proved they can actually make this happen and the car is really fast. It was inevitably clear that you can definitely make this work if you want to. The car is fast and it can go far enough. And here, the robot is smart enough. It will only get better from here on. It's operating autonomously, meaning it's not teleoperated. It's just going to change so much in the next decade. And while many will still laugh at Tesla for building this, a few that patiently invest will be greatly and immensely rewarded for seeing the future. One reason why Tesla is sharing these updates is not so much for investors, although investors should look at this and say, we need to have a piece of this. But actually, largely, I think it's aimed at recruiting the best AI engineers and robotic engineers, in addition to pushing hard on the whole body controls, robustness, fleet manufacturing, and operations needed to control the fleet seamlessly. We have been hard at work in evolving a brain for Optimus as it learns new useful skills, check this out, to apply to tasks at our facilities, Tesla factories. Now, I have a question for everyone here who's invested in Tesla and in any company that makes vehicles. Which other car manufacturer also is seriously actually trying to make a humanoid robot? And do you think that the company that is really trying to make robots, like the Tesla bot, so Tesla, will that help Tesla reduce its vehicle costs? And do you think Tesla will implement this sort of thing into its facilities before other vehicle manufacturers can? The answer obviously is yes. Now the question is, how do you think that will impact Tesla's profitability and therefore the stock price? So if we can eliminate a lot of the labor costs, what the margins are going to be for Tesla's Model 3, Model Y, they're going to be huge. Again, I'm definitely not saying it's going to be easy to automate. That's going to be extremely difficult because right now the Tesla bot is just doing a pretty simple task, just putting 4680 batteries into a tray and then carrying that tray. But anything that's somewhat repetitive will be done by the Optimus bot later on in Tesla's manufacturing facilities. So when you think about Tesla's competition in the EV space, they have so many things to worry about. First of all, they were so late to the EV game and they're just behind. Second of all, a lot of things that Tesla is doing right now, many of them are not even really seriously doing. For example, gigacastings. And one reason is because you need to have only a few models and you have to produce them at a high enough volume for it to make sense. So some companies can't even do it. Then you're competing against basically the best engineers in the world because they all want to work for Tesla and Elon Musk. And now these competitors see Tesla deploying this humanoid robot. What hope do they have? They can only hope that some other company makes another humanoid robot which they can eventually buy and deploy in their own facilities. But guess what? It's not going to be as efficient. There's going to be some inefficiencies. The bot is going to be more expensive. It's not going to be specifically trained for their circumstances, but Tesla is building the bot in Tesla facilities, making it almost sort of custom built for exactly what Tesla needs. And you know what? Maybe some of these companies actually see everything that's happening here and they're just saying, there's no chance we can even compete. Why should we even transition to EV? So why shouldn't we just implode? Then we don't need to compete with Elon Musk later and all of his shenanigans that he comes up with. Another Tesla bot engineer gave us an update. Using his 2D cameras, Optimus can now navigate new places autonomously while avoiding obstacles as it stores distinctive visual features in our cloud. And I've seen some people say before, FSD software, Tesla's autopilot software, doesn't really transfer too well into the bot. Well, our work on autopilot has greatly boosted these efforts. The same technology is used in both car and bot, barring some details, and of course, the dataset needed to train the bot's AI. But they just told you, the better FSD and autopilot gets, the better the Tesla bot will be able to navigate its surroundings. And unlike FSD, if the bot gently bumps into something, it's not game over. If a vehicle bumps into something, that's really bad. As long as a bot just doesn't swing its fists into someone, it's okay. And actually, there is an important piece here, and when you see this from multiple sources, it just validates that what we have seen is actually fully true, and there's no trickery involved or anything like that. All neural nets currently used by Optimus, manipulation tasks, visual obstacle detection, localization, navigation, run on its embedded computer directly leveraging our AI accelerators. So no Tesla bear can look at this and say, but Tesla just did some clever trick here. No. From multiple angles and multiple sources, we are seeing from Tesla that this is actually being run on its own AI in real time. No teleoperation. At this point, some Tesla bears, the really bad ones, will resort to their last argument. Oh, it's fraud. It must be a scam. How has that worked out for you, Tesla bears, from 2016 and 2017, 18, 19? And then you got crushed really bad. You are supposedly right for a few short years only to be completely annihilated later. How many batteries does a Tesla bot have inside of it? Well, the limiting factor says that before it used to have about 2.3 kilowatt hours, but with the energy density going up, it's more like 2.7 kilowatt hours now, which relatively speaking, comparing to a vehicle, it's a very low amount because normally in a car you would have maybe about 60 kilowatt hours, a little more, maybe a little bit less. So the amount of energy required to operate these Tesla bots is going to be basically completely insignificant. We got some hot news fresh off the shelf here. That's why I took off the jacket. It's getting hot here. NHTSA opened a preliminary evaluation into about 2.4 million Tesla vehicles over FSD collisions in reduced roadway visibility conditions. Now, wait a second. 2.4 million FSD vehicles? I don't think Tesla has that many active FSD users, does it? If it did, that would be actually super bullish. But that number just seems way too big for active users only. So I think they are including other vehicles too. Or maybe it includes a number of people that have tried FSD, including free trials. Maybe that would make sense. Now, this whole thing started because of 4 crashes involving Tesla FSD beta or FSD supervised, where sun, glare, fog, or airborne dust reduced roadway visibility. So Reuters has this fairly scary headline here, but the preliminary evaluation is the first step before the agency could seek to demand a recall, which would not actually be a recall. They would just demand a software update. I'm so sick and tired of seeing these recalls that are not actually recalls. And if you too are sick and tired of that, there's actually a piece of good news that you may like to hear, and I'm going to keep this strictly about Tesla only, not politics. But looking at betting odds, at this point it seems likely that Elon Musk will get into the government, and with that I am sure there would be some changes made at NHTSA. I don't even really have much of a problem with them, except for do not call a software update an actual recall. That's just ridiculous. I'm sure they know it too, and yet they refuse to change. We got an FSD update from China. This is pretty important, so let's dive into the details. The pace of FSD regulation progress is not very fast. Currently, related work is still in the evaluation stage and is being intensively reviewed by related departments such as autonomous driving technology, data security, and law. Musk also reportedly suggested to the relevant department that he hopes to acquire some non-sensitive video data directly needed for autonomous driving training. In the US, we are starting to see some celebrities and rappers make videos and Cybertrucks with their FSD on. In China, I wouldn't keep my hopes too high for FSD to be really deployed, because we have also seen the administration in the US not a big fan of Chinese self-driving technology in the US, so I expect China to retaliate. But they haven't yet. So maybe they are not going to retaliate tit for tat, meaning they are not going to ban Tesla's full self-driving technology in China, but maybe they'll just find some other sector where American companies operate in China and they're just going to go after that. The reasoning of the Chinese government could be, well, if Tesla is in China, we have a higher chance of solving full self-driving quicker ourselves. My Canadian friends will love this. Cybertruck vents are officially being assigned to order holders in Canada for the first time, and deliveries begin in the next 1 to 2 weeks. My European friends, you are not as lucky though, because the Tesla Cybertruck was just slammed by European road safety organizations, which is as expected. And Tesla is now accepting questions for their Q3 earnings call next week. We finally found out what happened when Tom Zhu went back to China. Did he lose some of his responsibilities? Well, someone got promoted here. A Tesla employee who joined Tesla in 2017 is now a vice president in charge of sales and manufacturing, with senior executives in those two regions reporting to him. He has assumed some responsibilities formerly held by Tom Zhu, Tesla's senior vice president for automotive, who earlier this year was sent back to China. But another way to look at it, and I think this is likely to be a little bit more accurate, this take suggests that Tom Zhu simply did a global tour with 50 to 100 of his best Chinese employees for training and line changes to update factory for efficiency. I personally think the truth is somewhere more in the middle. He was probably giving more responsibility, and he either didn't want that extra responsibility or he already made enough money for him not to want to take on that extra responsibility, or maybe he just wants to stay back in China where his family is. Either way, what's definitely clear is that after Tom Zhu has come back to China, Tesla is doing noticeably better in China. So I'm happy with how things are going. Elon Musk is getting some serious praise from Kevin O'Leary. He says nobody has ever achieved what Elon has done in 20 years, and there's not really a close second. And check this out. This is Robotaxi wireless charging, no hands required. I wonder though, how much energy will be lost because it's wireless charging? Is there really no other better solution? When I charge my phone with wireless charging, it loses quite a bit of energy, but because it's so little, it doesn't really matter. The screen shows a charging speed of 25 kilowatts, but before you say that's really low, just remember that the battery is going to be substantially smaller compared to regular Tesla vehicles. It's only 200 miles and the vehicle is already smaller, so the actually battery pack is going to be substantially smaller, so naturally your maximum charging speed is going to be lower. If you remember, Tesla actually acquired this wireless charging tech firm from Germany for $76 million. I am sure there's some piece of technology that Tesla has been able to take and implement to improve the efficiency of wireless charging, and maybe the speed is also a part of that. James has a pretty good take on Tesla Model Y Juniper, with which I agree. It doesn't make sense for Tesla to slow production in China right now, as it would interrupt Model Y sales in the most important quarter of the year, and demand for the current model at current price is very high, which is a really important detail. If the demand is really good, don't interrupt it. So at this rate, it doesn't look like Juniper is coming anytime soon, late Q1 at best, and maybe even Q2. This works for China, but overall the move to Juniper should raise demand outside of China, where Model Y demand has been weaker. The time that would make the most sense to actually upgrade all of the production lines would be around the Chinese New Year, because everything over there during that time is just dead. Some people are suggesting, well then, why not do the opposite of what Tesla did last year? Instead of releasing the vehicle in China first, release it in North America and Europe first, and only then in China. But the Chinese consumers are a little bit more worried about missing out on the thing that's coming out. If it's already announced and they know it's coming out, they can wait a little bit. So there's a much bigger chance that these people would stop buying the Model Y. Tesla has just achieved a supercharging milestone. 60,000 supercharger stalls globally have now been installed, and the 60,000th supercharger stall was specifically installed in Japan, and they made it look pretty cool. It was actually installed right next to the 600th supercharging stall in Japan, which is on the right, and the 60,000th is on the left. So on average, Tesla opens 25 new supercharger stalls per day. Now, when did we reach 50,000? That was last year in September, so it took about 1 year for Tesla to go from 50,000 to 60,000 superchargers. You have to love this remark from Omar. And to think they did this with nobody on the supercharger team. As we all know, everyone has been let go, and Tesla has not installed a single supercharger since then. And yet we are looking at proof which proves otherwise. That's some impressive growth from Tesla. So I have shared some posts over time from Milan, and now we found out that Milan has just been promoted to vice president of Optimus at Tesla in recent weeks. So pay attention to this guy. This is a very important person for Tesla going forward. I really like this, but it's also really funny at the same time. SpaceX has set another record for the number of launches completed by a single company in a year, breaking its own record. It set last year, 96, with 2 months left till 2024. So this year we are definitely going to be over 100, significantly over that. Elon Musk just donated $75 million to a pro-America group. So he's being pretty serious about this. He's going to make another speech later today. I will post that on this channel. Lucid stock dropped this week substantially. Why? It is because they announced that they are raising capital and basically diluting their shareholders. They got diluted by about 24%. At this point, is it really a public company? They should just go private and just rely on the Saudi money. Saudis own 58.8% anyway. They can basically do whatever they want with Lucid. Whoa, Stellantis reported their Q3 delivery numbers, and their North American sales are down by a whopping 36% year over year, while their overall global sales are down 20% year over year. They are getting slaughtered. So naturally, Frazada responds with, I keep telling Elon to stop posting political stuff, because see, this is what happens. And remember when Rivian rallied after that announcement from Volkswagen investing into Rivian? Yeah, well, all of that has now been erased. Seems like it's still likely that the deal is going to go through, but the risk is high for Rivian investors. It's not just Stellantis and Rivian not doing well. Audi, they can't find a buyer for its Brussels plant, increasing the risk of a plant closure. Maserati is not doing well. Its shipments are down 58% compared to last year. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet. I will probably post the Elon Musk speech later today, so keep an eye on that, and I will probably be back with a new video on Monday with Tesla.